Okay, looks like we're up and running. Hello, guys. Welcome back. Another round of ACC. This time in the middle of the night in a very dark-looking Monza. Got a very interesting double header for a bit of a change in tonight's race. So we got two 25-minute races. Both of them worth about half the points that you'd normally get. So yeah, a lot of as we just start in qualifying now. Someone's span in the pits. Love to see it. Yeah. So yeah, there's two chances of bagging big points today instead of just the one if you have a little bit of a step back, which is pretty good for some of these guys because this is a track where a lot of incidents can happen. You've got two chicanes in the first section of the lap, really, and yeah, there's a lot of late lunges that I think we could expect to see, especially on the opening lap. In the race briefing, it was announced that opening lap incidents will be penalised doubly for today for this race, so everyone's going to have to be extra careful. Let's see who's at the front of the grid. It looks like Dan in his McLaren. He's in a McLaren now. He must have changed cars because he used to be in the Bentley. He is at the head of the field at the moment. I think the McLaren is one of the cars that struggles a little bit on the top end. We know that I think the Bentley would have been pretty good round here, to be honest. Obviously the Mustang's going to be good round here. I've heard the Ferrari's strong round here again. So it's the usual suspects, I think, who will be vying for the top spot. We've got Weatherston in the Lamborghini. We'll have to see how good that is in the top end of the acceleration. Let's see if we've got Morrow in today as well. Yep, he's just out setting his lap as well. Defending champion, has started the season very well. Seems to be a two-horse race at the moment between Weatherston and Morrow. Just rounding Parabolica now. There is a little bit more lighting around this section of the track, but not too much. So we've got quite a lot of cars pretty close to each other here. Dan just ahead of Scanlon there, and then there's a big snake of cars that are probably within slipstream range trying to take advantage. We see this happen in F1 all the time. A little bit more comically though, no one wanting to be at the head of the snail, essentially. That's what Dan's doing here, so he's not going to have any benefits of the slipstream himself this lap. A bunch of other drivers probably aren't going to as well. There are little clusters of cars here and there looking at the mini-map. Oh, one of those cars going a little bit wide on the exit. I think that was Andy Winters, actually. So I don't know if that was an invalidation. Track limits are pretty strict in qualifying. If you go over and you gain any time at all by going wide or cutting a corner, your lap is completely invalidated. Oh, taking a lot of curbs there on the exit of Ascari for Paris. He's just coming up to Parabolica now, the last corner of the lap, and we're going to see finally what some benchmark times are going to look like. Got quite a few of the fast gold tiered drivers in this front group that are just going to be crossing the line now. Looks like a pretty neat and tidy lap for Dan, so let's see what it looks like. A 49.5 for Scanlon. That is 1.3 seconds better than Dan and almost a second quicker than Andy Winters. Omoda 8/10 back in second. Peter slotting into fifth and Capel up into second in the Ferrari. So the first Ferrari to set a lap and he's up in P2. Popov in Silvertier is going to try and beat a couple of drivers that have just pop times in, and he does. He goes all the way up into third, out qualifying a lot of gold drivers at the moment. Tidswell as well, Big Beaver up in second place, just 4/10 off of Scanlon, but Scanlon looking like the strongest. Let's ride on board with Davey Weatherston, just coming up to Parabolica now as we have a few more drivers rounding the corner and setting some lap times. Here comes Davey. We're expecting one of the top times, but how is the Lamborghini round here? The answer is very good. He actually beats Scanlon's time, which immediately gets beaten itself by the Ferrari of Freivogel, setting another strong lap in qualifying. Let's see what Steedstra is up to. Steedstra just coming up to Parabolica now as well. We've seen him have some pretty solid results in qualifying sessions. Really good over one lap. In the Aston Martin again today. Let's see what he sets. Is he going to be in the top 10? Doesn't actually set a time. Weston's another one. Similar to Steedstra, pretty good over a single lap. I would expect him to qualify in the top 5 in or around at least every week at the moment with the form that he's been on. He only goes up to 11th with his first lap, so just behind O'Morder and ahead of Winters. Just as I say that, Spectre looks like he's just set a lap, and O'Morder's improved as well, up into P7 now. Peter's improved. Everyone is setting better laps on their second go of this. Capel up into 5th as well. Morrow, meanwhile, has popped up into 4th place, so a couple of positions behind Weatherston at the moment. Has half a second to find on Freivogel, his teammate, as well. Popov up into, well, has dropped down to 9th now, but still holding in strong in the top 10. There's still no other silver drivers in the top 10. We've got his rival for silver. Where is he? Andy Cabras is 4.7 seconds down, so he's going to be setting his first proper lap in earnest this lap, and we'll be looking for at least top 15 with this lap. Let's see what he can do as he's just going over the start finish line now. And he's only up into 17th, so behind. He's 4th in class, down in 17th place, Andy Cabras. So not the strongest of qualifiers compared to what we're used to seeing for him. Meanwhile, Morrow has just set the fastest lap of all. He's found 7/10 when we said he needed to find half a second. And now he's got a 47.6. Weatherston did set another lap, but he didn't actually improve on his time. Let's see who else. Paris is just coming up to Parabolica, so he's down in 13th, the driver who was the first to set his flying lap. So let's see if he can improve on that on his 3rd or 4th flying lap. It must be at this point. We've got 12 minutes remaining. Hugging the inside line, and that is going to be a big improvement up into P4 for Dan Paris, who is 0.45 away from Morrow at the moment. Peter popping up into 5th as well, just setting a lap there in the Mustang. The highest Mustang is in 5th. We've got 5 different cars in the top 6, but Ferrari 1, 2 as it stands, and the AMG in the top 10 as well. Weston did improve. He's up into 8th now, and Popov's improved up into 7th. So really on a good charge here is Popov. He we did race around Monza in GT7, and he finished 16th out of 16 drivers twice in a row. So he's definitely loving the track a lot more on ACC. Freddie Cabras up into P3. It's a Ferrari 1-2-3 at the moment with the ART boys. Morrow in P1, Freivogel 2nd, and Cabras 3rd place, all separated by about 0.3 of a second. Davey not able to get in the party yet, but he's just coming around Parabolica. This could be an improvement for Davey. He needs to find pretty much 0.4 of a second if he wants to get that top spot at the moment. The times continue to come down. Davey, does he improve? It doesn't look like an improvement, actually. Let's see where any of the other top guys are. Dan's dropped down to 5th. He's just come out of Ascari. Peter's a little bit behind him, but in traffic, so he's probably not improving. Scanlon is pretty close. It looks like he's warming up his tyres, so this isn't going to be a hot lap for him. So let's see if Dan Paris can improve on his P5. I see some drivers opting to come into the pits with 10 minutes remaining as well. And it doesn't look like an improvement for Dan. Peter's come into the pits, and Scanlon has just started his hot lap. Popov coming around Ascari, not Ascari, sorry, Parabolica. Once again, he's dropped down to 8th now. Still holding strong in the top 10 though. But these times are going to continue to go down, as we just saw an improvement for Tidswell up into 8th. Popov stays 9th, but does improve his time. So he's a little bit closer, but he's got to find a little bit more time because he's down in 9th at the moment, despite setting another lap there. A little bit further down, Capel's in the pits at the moment. Spectre is just coming up to Ascari. Looks like he's in with a little gaggle of cars there, all pretty close together. What about this top 3? Looks like Freivogel's just about to finish another lap. I don't know if he's had a pole position yet, actually, but he's always been pretty high. Weatherster's just beaten his time and gone up into 3rd place. Freivogel hasn't improved, so Davey has displaced this Art 123. He's popped up into 2nd with an improvement, as the cars are all going on at turn 1. I don't know what's going on there. And he's reset. Bit of an odd, you can't really tell what's going on with the lack of light as well. It's not great for viewing. You probably want to turn your brightness up a little bit. Peter just going through Ascari now. And this is very important, this qualifying, more important than normal, because this does set the grid for both races tonight. So Andy Witt is popping up in 7th with an 8/10 gap down tomorrow, so he's not in the 47s just yet. I think potentially all the top 10 will be in the 47s by the end of this, with the way that times keep increasing. I mean, Tidswell's just got up into P3 as well, knocking Peter down to 7th. Can Peter respond? Can he improve himself? Not this time around. Freddie Cabras coming around the final corner. He's dropped down to 5th now behind Tidswell and Weatherston. He needs to find a bit more time here. And yeah, it doesn't happen. What about Morrow? Can he increase his gap at the front? His gap is currently 0.3 of a second. He's on a 47.3. Will we see a 46 in this qualifying? Not yet. Not an improvement. Let's go back on board with Scanlon. Scanlon's always been in and around the top 10 since the very start, but he's dropped down to 9th now, at danger of falling outside of the top 10 if he doesn't find another improvement. Looks fairly tidy. There is a yellow flag out somewhere. I think it's just drivers at the pits, to be honest. And Scanlon does improve, finds a 4/10 improvement, and he goes up into P4 now. So it looks like it's going to be another strong qualifying there for Scanlon. Popov's dropped down to 10th. He's just approaching Parabolica. Only 2 McLarens in the top 10. I make that 1 because Popov's just being displaced by Steedstra. Steedstra popping into the top 10, so we've got an all-gold top 10 unless Popov can find an improvement on this lap. And he does. He's up into 6th place. Right. Well, made that 7th. Peter's improved as well. Popov's slammed the brakes on. He's got back into the pit. He's quite happy with that one, I'm assuming. He's got some time to go out and try and beat that even still. Freddie Cabras has improved into P5 as well. He's also within half a second. Top 7 are within half a second of each other now, so it is pretty close between everyone. Morrow is just going into the pits. He's going to change tyres and set a couple more laps I think he's got time for. Davies halfway through the track is just going through the Lesmos now. He's in a lot of traffic, so I'm not sure if this is going to help with the slipstream. It depends if they all catch up to each other. Drivers pulling out of the way there as well. Tidswell coming out of the pits for his last run. Scanlon still out on his. Looks like he's pushing as well, so this could be another attempt to improve. once again. And it's not going to be an improvement that time. What can Weatherston do? He is still, well, he's quite a way off Morrow at the moment. Morrow seems to be getting the better of Weatherston in qualifying at the moment. And Weatherston still doesn't improve by the looks of it. Freddie Cabras up in the top 5 now. Got 3 Ferraris in the top 5. So it's starting to go a little bit more in the Ferrari's favour. 4 in the top 7 as well. Then we've got Weston, who's dropped down to 14th. No improvement there for Cabras either. What can Popov do? Popov, the star of qualifying at the moment, half a second up on the closest silver driver, Grelak. I think that's how you pronounce it. Yeah, Popov doesn't improve this time round. Where's Tidswell on the track? Tidswell just quietly popping himself up into the top 3 here. Finding pace as the weeks go on, to be honest. And that's not an improvement for Ben either, Tidswell. Scanlon around again, he's just pounding in the laps trying to find those improvements. And this time it does help. He goes up into 3rd place. He's only found a little bit. It must have been about half of a tenth. But that's enough to get him into P3 at the moment. We've only got 3 minutes left. So this is important for everyone. Morrow on another hot lap. He's just started. Davy's just about to finish his. Once again, he's not been able to beat that really solid time that he set a bit earlier on. And it looks like he hasn't beaten it again. So he's going to have another 2 attempts at matching Morrow there. Freddie Cabras a little bit further back. He's not got any cars near him, which might be a bad thing in terms of slipstream. But it also means no distractions. But no improvements either. What about Dan? Dan's been jostled down to 9th now. The 2nd highest McLaren. So Popov is the highest McLaren on the grid. No improvement there for Dan either. Morrow going through Ascari now. Freivogel's been knocked down to 7th in all this as well. Peter's popped himself back up into 6th. And Morrow's backed out of that one. And Weatherston's off the track through Ascari. That was a bit of a hairy one, so that's not going to count as a lap. Scanlon going through the Lesmo, so quite early on in a lap. Ben has started a new lap fairly recently as well. Peter might be on a charge now. He's only 0.46 behind Morrow, so it's definitely an achievable gap to narrow down. Sneetra in the pits, I think that is qualifying over. Peter's going to get one more lap in. He didn't improve that time. Scanlon up in 3rd place is looking for another half a tenth would get him up into 2nd. And a crucial front row start. Clear air in front of you as you break into that treacherous opening chicane. Is this going to be an improvement for Scanlon? He's going to have one more attempt after this. No improvement that time. Davies in the pits, so his qualifying is over. Tidswell, he's cutting it fine for making the last lap. I think he'll still do it. He's got 30 seconds left to finish this one and start a new flying lap. And he's in the pit, so he's abandoned that one. He doesn't want to try an extra lap. He probably might not just have the fuel for it. Morrow off track again there. That'll be an invalidation. So the opportunity's there for Scanlon. He's going to be one of the last people to set a lap here. Morrow, let's just see if it's going to be an improvement. I think he's probably going to just bail into the pits. Freivogel up into P2 on his very last lap. He's only 2/10 away. Yep, Morrow doesn't improve. Freddy Cabras going through Ascari. Scanlon has abandoned his lap. So it looks like Freddy Cabras is the only one of the top 7 who is still trying to set a lap. A lot of people have abandoned their hot laps on this final run. Freddy just ahead of Andy Winters as well, who might be able to improve into the top 10. So he hasn't, well actually I think he improved very slightly there, but not enough to improve his position. It doesn't look like Andy improved either. And we might be all done and dusted here. Looks like... Oh, Weston trying, he's one of the last drivers trying to set a lap here. Let's see if he can get himself into the top 10. He needs to find some hundredths of a second. Actually, he finds a lot more than that. He pops himself up into 6th place. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Ferraris in the top 7. That's unreal stuff. We've only got a couple more cars. One of them is Tierney. Let's see what he could do. He's down in 19th place, but in the top 20, it looks like he's given up on that one. And Fracas is the last one who's going to be crossing the line. And it doesn't look like an improvement for him either. So there you have it. Morrow on pole for gold ahead of Freivogel, Weatherston, Scanlon and Tidswell in the top 5. Weston, Cabras, Peter Popoff and Andy Cabras make up the top 10. Pole position in silver by just a 10th in the end. Cabras finding a lot of time at the end there to pop off. So it's going to be close again between these two in the races, I'm sure. Both races, again, they are starting with this exact grid that we're ended with here. Stratton in 3rd for silver, but down in 14th. And then pole for bronze is Sanchez. Again, he's back and performing very strongly in 23rd, a few places up ahead of Van Hall and Holly, who are next up in 27th and 28th in bronze. So let's do some predictions then. So we got 2 races. I think we're going to have different winners in both. I think Morrow's going to win one, and I think Davey's going to win one. I think it's just going to be 2 chaotic in the dark at the start here for one person to be consistent enough to take both wins. I actually think maybe only maximum one driver will get two podiums tonight. I think there's going to be a good spread of points.
30 seconds.
I don't think pit stop's necessary this time either. So it's just going to be basically like a sprint, a 25-minute sprint non-stop from start to finish. Apart from those that get damage, which I think there'll be a few.
10 seconds.
Right, away we go. Couple of Ferraris. ART boys, not for the first time this season. Locking out the front row of the grid. They'll obviously, well, you'd assume they'd be coordinating what they're going to be doing in the run to turn one, because they can really control what happens around them as long as they react correctly. Kind of act as a moving roadblock for Davey and Scanlon to struggle to get behind. But Scanlon's in the pits. A lot of drivers are actually in the pits, which means they might not have readied up in time, or there's been some sort of issue. Because there is Scanlon, Paris, O'Morda, Tierney, O'Leary, Holly, all in the pits right now. And that's a huge disaster for Scanlon, who is trying to keep up with Davey and Morrow in the championship. It promotes a lot of drivers up a lot of places here. This is really interesting. What's Davey doing down in 9th place as well? Has he span? He's reset to pits. I don't know what's going on. Are we all resetting to pits? No, I don't think so. They're resetting the grid as it's set to a mandatory pit stop. Oh, the settings were wrong. Okay, well, good luck telling the 22 drivers that are still on the track. Because, yeah, I'm not sure how we get the message out to those guys. Hopefully they all twig that as soon as a few more people start resetting to pits. So I wonder how they're going to reset the grid as well. Do we all have to go back out and into the lobby? Let me just check Discord. Server will reset, okay. Well, let's see. These guys are going to stay out until the server resets anyway. Let's see if they have a bit of fun. Someone's trying to just drive through cars there. Right, I'll have to make sure I rejoin pretty quickly, because otherwise, if it's full for some reason, I can't join as a spectator, but if it's not full, you can. When are they going to reset the server though? That's the question. Alright. What's going on into turn one? It looks like everyone's actually made it. So, oh no, you got a couple of people cutting the corners. What? Someone's just come to a complete stop in the middle of the first corner. That was, I think, might have been Andy. Everyone else, Morrow's just carrying on. He's like, I'm just going to win this one as well. I'll win 3 Monza races tonight. Whoa, there's some crashes going on at the back. Oh my goodness. Maura getting through it. I wonder if anyone's going to try and report what's going on here. Where is the reset though? Well, some of them are taking it seriously, I think, and some of them are just trying to hunt drivers down. Oh, am I about to get kicked out? Everyone seems to have disappeared. There we go. Okay, perfect. Woohoo. Right, we are back.
Green light. Go, go, go.
So, a couple of minutes to go again, and then we're going to have to do another lovely long outlap. Hopefully everyone remembers their... Oh, we've been disconnected. There we go. Well, I hope I can get back in, because they're still showing a few people. Okay, we're going back.
Green light. Go, go, go.
Now, don't kick me out again. Yeah, looks like we've got a few people. Are they out on track? No one's actually out on track. It's just not showing correctly. I hope we get some good angles in the TV camera view into turn one. I'm going to try and stick with the whole grid to see how the whole grid takes it. Because bear in mind, half the grid were already in the pits by that turn one, and there was still about 3 different incidents that I saw. I need to change the camera angle. There we go. Holly, I think Holly's a fairly new driver. Looks like he's in bronze, either that or he's a reserve. No bronze drivers in the top 20 this week, unfortunately. Even though we've only got, I think, 27. What's happening? Okay, so we got 2 minutes until the session starts. Everyone's on the grid. Everyone's going to have to ready up on the grid. And the reason that a lot of the organisers didn't even ready up and they just stayed at the pits was they probably realised in this 2-minute period that the mandatory pit stop was on. But as you can see, there's a green bar next to everyone's name on the timings, which means they don't need to make the mandatory pit stop. That always turns green after you make your mandatory pit stop. So they don't have to worry about that at least. It's not a reverse grid, it's the exact same grid for both races. So that was an important qualifying. So all these gold drivers that are sitting outside the top 10 might be kicking themselves a little bit that they didn't perform a little bit higher up than they could have, potentially. Going to be really tricky for silver drivers in the top 10 because you're going to be surrounded by a lot of very fast guys in the first couple of chicanes. It might just be a bit more about survival for the drivers in the bottom 10 positions, just trying to pick through the carnage that might unfold on the first lap. I don't know, 27 drivers into one corner, all separated by maximum 6 or 7 seconds on that opening lap as well. It's going to be tough. At least Morrow had some good practice though. Morrow and Freiburg did get some good practice in that previous abandoned start on how to take the first corner.
30 seconds.
So you've seen those cars shaking. That means that the driver there is basically readied up. He's ready to go. He set his aero, he set his suspension, he set his downforce, he set all that good stuff. I set the fuel, made sure that the tires are fresh ones, and set the PSI on them as well to get them up to temperature correctly. All that stuff has just been sorted out now, and hopefully we don't see lots of drivers in the pits when Morrow gets us underway. Looks like Burkhardt's in the pits. Oh, we got 32 drivers actually, so pretty much full house, maximum turnout for tonight. That's good. Spectre's changed into the Porsche. Oh yeah, so he has. So everyone taking the corners fairly gingerly here, not having to go too fast. No one's really doing much weaving, the warming of the tyres. There's a tyre warmer. Graham Weston is warming his tyres, and Freddie actually, both of them, doing a little bit of tyre warming. Not many other people are, especially the top guys, so maybe they are comfortable with the heat that they've gone out with. Maybe they could use a couple of degrees shaving off, I don't know. Talk bullshit now. So just approaching the Lesmos now. Two pretty tricky right-handers. There are overtaking opportunities because if you get a bad exit out of that chicane before, it is possible to pull alongside into the first Lesmo. And then the second Lesmo is super important to get right because it slingshots you out onto quite a long straight all the way down to Ascari. So yeah, you can get it wrong, go a little bit into the gravel on the exit, which does, well, it will cost quite a bit of time, probably a few positions as well if it happens in the race. Easy to do when you're going side by side through the Lesmos as well. If anyone's feeling brave enough to give that a go, that could be a consequence. So it looks like Brian and Burkhardt actually are in the pits right now. So they'll be starting way at the back, but it might actually benefit them. We'll have to keep an eye out for where they end up at the end of the first lap, because they'll avoid all of the carnage that we might see. Look, I'm building up all this carnage. It's probably going to end up being completely clean in both of the races. And I'll miss, or if there is an incident, I'll just completely miss it. I'm going to try and make sure we follow the whole grid on these key corners though, because we did miss an opening lap. Bit of carnage at the corkscrew in Laguna in the opening round. We were too fixated on what was happening at the front, but that's what happens when you have these very, very close battles at the front. Everyone lining up, we're just about to enter into Parabolica now. So 30 drivers all lined up nose to tail in double file with 2 more in the pits ready to join. Morrow's going to be controlling the pace until we see the green flag, which will be coming up pretty soon. It's quite an early start to the lap as well, so any poor getaway is going to be punished on the run down to the opening chicane. Here we go. It looks like Davey had a really good response to the green light. The 2 ART boys trying to get in his way. He's trying to go down the middle of both of them here in the run down to turn 1. But 3 wide for the lead. Morrow has the inside line into the chicane. Davey's braking much later. A little bit of contact and through straight on goes a couple of drivers. There's some more carnage. We've got Davey who cut the chicane, as did Freivogel. Scanlon is in, well, the net P2 basically, because those guys cut the corner quite drastically there. Tidwell down in 5th. How is everyone else doing? Looks like some more carnage near the back. Everyone is super close together as we enter into the next chicane. Loads of drivers off the track. Looks like some more carnage going on. Some drivers cutting chicanes here. We got Scanlon and Freivogel near the front. It's really difficult to see what's going on. Everyone is all over the place here. Morrow does have a lead at the moment ahead of Scanlon and Freivogel. Davey is in 4th after cutting that first corner. Then we got Peter in 5th, West in 6th, Tidswell, Freddie Cabras, Omoda and Winters. Leader of Silver Tier at the moment is Stratton out of nowhere. Popov's dropped down to 14th. Must have been involved in some of that mayhem as well. And Andy Cabras down to 16th as well. So it has been incredibly eventful in these opening laps. Looks like Steedstra's dropped all the way back outside the top 20 as well. So not a good time for some of these guys. Paris has had to reset to pits, so he was doing all right at the start, and he must have been involved in an incident that's going to cost him at least a lap or 2. But at the front, Scanlon isn't too far behind Morrow in this battle. Weatherston a couple of places behind, but it looks like the top 2 are starting to form a little gap there. Let's see what the gaps are here. 6/10 between Morrow and Scanlon, and another 6 down to Freivogel. So everyone slightly gapped here. Capel has got ahead of Popov's, had to reset to pits now. And he's dropping all the way down. So that might have been a mistake in Ascari, potentially, or an incident. That is heartbreaking for him, I'm sure. I tried to do this twice. This is chaos. Right. It looks like he's settling down a little bit at the front though. Some gaps are starting to form between the drivers. Freivogel dropping back to a 2nd behind the top 2 in 3rd place. Now potentially going to start holding back Davey as well. I wonder if Davey's got any beans in that Lamborghini to get an overtake done, because he's looking pretty close to Freivogel at the moment. Well, there's some left indicating going on. I don't know what that means, if it does mean anything. Oh, some clattering of the curb on the inside line and the entry into Ascari by both of the drivers. Davey taking a much wider exit. Looks like he got a better exit. He's going to go for it into Freivogel, trying to go down the inside into Parabolica. Let's see what he can do with the braking zone. If the camera gives us a good enough angle, he's not actually alongside and he has to pull in behind instead. That's going to bring Peter a lot closer. Peter looks like he's closed the gap massively to Weatherston with that failed attempt at an overtake that Weatherston tried to do. So Peter might have a chance. He's only 2/10 back. Morrow's extended his lead massively. He's got the fast lap of the race as well. 1.1 up on Scanlon. Davey going defensive into the chicane. And they're both braking very late, nearly get into contact with Freivogel ahead. And Davey's going the long way round, and he still gets it, and Peter looks like he's gone off track a little bit. Are they going to show us where he is? He's lost a huge number of places after just getting it a little bit wrong, a little bit too keen on the throttle maybe. Lost him a little bit of traction, and it nearly spun him off the track. He's dropped from 5th. Let's see where he's actually dropped down to when he comes through this sector line. He's dropped to 9th, so that's 4 positions off a very minor looking mistake here. So Weatherston gets away with that one, and he's got a little bit of a gap to Tidswell behind now as well. So he's got some breathing space and potentially could try and close the gap a little bit more to Freivogel there. And then everyone behind Tidswell is incredibly close together, all the way down to Capel and Grelak. So we're going to see Tidswell coming under a little bit of pressure here fairly soon. He did really well in qualifying to get his himself into a really good position in this race, but now how is his race pace in comparison? He's got Freddie Cabras now behind him, so Weston's made a mistake somewhere and lost a position to Freddie Cabras instead of the opposite way round. So Weston going backwards a little bit here. Maybe he's going to have to think about what Omoda's up to behind him in the AMG. Morrow almost 2 seconds ahead already. Remember, this is quite a short race as well, so any mistake is basically doubled in terms of the impact it's going to have on you. Weston struggling for speed here down the pit straight. Omoda closing in pretty quickly, but not going to have a go just yet. Let's see what's happening a little bit further down. How is everyone taking turn 1? Capel a little bit further back, getting absolutely... Wow, what was that? Where did that car even go? Oh, that was Grelak. He went straight on in the corner, completely missed his braking point there for the corner, and managed to avoid Capel. Actually slotted back where he was, so no harm done there really. A little bit further forward, Davey has caught up to Freivogel. That was 1.1 seconds just a couple of corners ago, and he's really eaten up the time. Actually, Freivogel may have made a mistake. He's dropped off even further from Scanlon as well. So going through the Lesmos now, Freivogel has a huge train of cars directly behind him. First up is Weatherston, and not too far back are the rest. Tidswell really closing up the gap in the Lesmos as well. It's not 1.3 seconds anymore. He's right behind Weatherston. So Weatherston might have to make a move on Freivogel, or else he might be at risk getting overtaken himself. Weatherston going very wide on the exit. I've seen him go wide a few times. I don't know what the track limits are like here, but that could potentially lead to a drive-through. I think, well, you do get a certain number of allowances before that comes. Going around Parabolica, looks like Freivogel has a bit of a better line through there than Davey. Davey taking a much wider line through there that time round. Tidswell pretty close behind, only 0.4 of a second behind. I wonder if that's enough to try a bit of a move here. The gap at the top is 2 seconds at the moment with 17 minutes to go. Yeah, you're gonna have to do 2 results. Yeah, that's true. The formula wasn't prepared for this. Freivogel still looking fairly comfortable at the moment on Weatherston. Scanlon actually has shaved 0.2 off of Morrow's lead, so still keeping him honest at the moment. If you get closer to a second, we might have a real battle on our hands for the end of the race. Looks like Spectre is pretty close to Stratton. Remember, we saw Stratton go on a little bit. No, that was Grelak, sorry, not Stratton. Beg your pardon. Stratton doing really well, actually. Top of Silver class at the moment. Holly in P16, top of his class as well. Stratton doing well as well to keep Spectre behind him in his Porsche. He's looking pretty racy, but he is losing the Porsche battle to Stratton at the moment. still defending pretty solidly. And speaking of defending solidly, we're going to have to see some of that from Freivogel under a lot more pressure now from Davey coming out of Ascari. Davey seems to really enjoy that corner. It looks like he eats a lot of time out of other drivers when we've seen him go through that. And wide again. That does look like a much better line for Davey. He had a good slingshot, and he's going to take that position. Well, if he can win this drag race between the Ferrari and the Lamborghini, looks like he's got a bit more speed than Freivogel. So unless Freivogel's better on the brakes, Davey might have this done. He's going to have to go around the outside into this corner. And yeah, Freivogel actually has to tuck in behind him. Then we've got Tidswell and Freddie Cabras right behind as well. Freddie having to tuck behind Tidswell. Then a little gap to Peter, who we saw had that little moment. He dropped down to 9th. He's worked his way back up to 7th now, ahead of Weston, Winters and Omorda in the top 10. So how is Scanlon doing? He's dropped back down to 2 seconds behind. So they're lapping very similarly, these top two. Davey under pressure from Freivogel. Freivogel trying to get the position back. Takes a tighter line through the entry of the chicane. Might make Freivogel a little bit vulnerable to Tidswell. Tidswell not able to capitalise on that. Instead, he might, well, Cabras having a little look into the first Lesmo. And again, he's having a little look. He wants this position. He's putting Tidswell under a bit of pressure right now. So, 14 minutes left now. It has pretty much settled down at the front. I'm sure that it's not been too calm towards the back after the first incidents, but we haven't been able to follow any of those. Let's see what's going on in bronze. We've got Holly in P16, just ahead of Steenstra at the moment. So Steenstra trying to recover. He's back in the top 20. Sanchez, who we've seen win bronze class a few times, he's not actually in the lead now, unless Holly is a reserve. Scanlon dropping a little bit further back again. He's lost about half a second since he started chipping in at Morrow's time. Weatherston going to come under pressure again from Freivogel. Freivogel has stayed pretty close here to Weatherston. Davey's going defensive into turn 1, and behind we've got a battle of the Ferraris as well between Tidswell and Cabras. So, oh, he's gone deep, he's gone wide, he's gone long. Freivogel is off. He's going to have to try and slot himself between Weatherston and Tidswell. He's gone ahead of Weatherston at the moment. He's going to have to lift massively here to avoid a really harsh penalty, and he lets Davey back through. Meanwhile, Tidswell still defending from Cabras, and now he's got a slow Ferrari in front of him who's rejoined in the braking zone. It's very, very tight between these three. They'll avoid each other on the entry. And Freivogel loses a bit of traction on the exit, goes wide, and Tidswell has the inside line for the first Lesmo. It's the battle for P4. Freivogel going backwards after his mistake earlier in the lap, potentially struggling a little bit with the dirty tyres, and now Cabras has got past, and maybe Cabras is going to challenge Tidswell. He has to slot in behind, and Peter is going to be the next one to try and get past Freivogel. They want to show us a good angle of how everything is going between these guys, it would be appreciated. So here is Freivogel. He's trying his best to stick with these guys. He's got the pace for it. He's just had a scruffy lap, dropped a few positions there. Halfway through the race now, so still a long way to go. We've got an all gold top 10, Stratton in P11, and then we've seen the usual, the title contenders, I suppose, in silver, Andy Cabras down in 20th, and we saw Eroticos have to reset to the pits, but now we've got a few moves on here. We've got Freddie Cabras very close to the back of Tidswell now. He's going for it. The door's been left open by Tidswell. Tidswell was firmly in front, and he's gone deep as well. Another driver who's gone long in turn 1 after a little bit of pressure, and yeah, that's going to be another one where we might see him falling behind a number of cars there, trying to slot back into where he should be. He's fully in front of Freddie Cabras now. He has to give that position back. I'm pretty sure. Oh, and has he lost it? Has he lost it? Come on, we need to be sure what's going on. I think he has, because we're still stuck on this camera angle. He's just off to the left of the screen. There he is, just rejoining now. That is a disaster for him. He's down in 14th place now. Dropped 10 positions there. And just like Freiburg the lap before, just had an absolute nightmare through the opening 2 chicanes. Morrow's gap at the front now, 2.4 seconds. Just over 10 minutes left. Davey is pretty much all on his own in 3rd place. Freddie Cabras up in 4th now, doing incredibly good job. They're leading this train of cars. We've got Freivogel behind. Maybe he's going to try and get that position before the end. Peter just a second back. Andy Winters just in front of Graham Weston now. So we've got 2 Mustangs in the top 7. Well, it seems to be working better in the race than it did in qualifying, I suppose. Dropping back a little bit from Peter, but oh, we're going for it. Here's the move for P4. No, it's not. What's going on? What is actually going on? That's Davey's lost a position. He's lost a lot of time there. He had a 3 or 4 second cushion on Freddie Cabras, and he's just lost that position going into turn 1. He's just in between the 2 ART boys right now. He's dropped down to 4th somehow. He must have had some sort of mistake potentially coming out of Parabolica and wasn't going full speed along the straight. That's potentially the only explanation for it. Unless he lost power somehow. Well, Freddie will take that up into P3 on a podium position. And Davey has 2 cars between him and his championship rival Morrow now at the top of the table. Here comes Davey. He's going to try and get that position back. We've got 9 minutes to go. Not sure if this is the best idea. Cabras is fully ahead going into Westgari. They are incredibly close together going through it. Davey's probably having to lift and try and stabilize the car through the dirty air, but he does survive. Freivogel really close behind Davey now. Might fancy taking that position back into Parabolica. All 3 of these guys really close together. And it looks like Freivogel's going for it. And he has to back out at the last moment. He couldn't get it done. But it's not over yet because Davey's line was compromised. That gives Freddie a bit of respite. And now they're still side by side. And Freddie might be giving Freivogel a bit of slipstream here if he's going to be playing the team game. He doesn't. He's actually giving Davey the slipstream. Okay. Interesting tactic. But Freivogel is ahead at the moment of Davey heading into... And there's contact. Freivogel cuts across Davey and spins his car massively out there. I think it hit the wall. He'll have a lot of damage there as well. That is a huge, huge, huge crash. Similar to one we saw with Marcus Ericsson. He has rejoined. He's down just ahead of Peter now. Down in 9th place, a little bit sparks flying, lost that position. Someone else is in the wall, and there's been another incident. Freivogel off track completely now. I'm not sure who he made contact with there. I think they've managed to carry on. But yeah, lots happening now. So where's that left everyone? Cabras 3rd, Davey in 4th, Andy Winters is in 5th now, Weston is in 6th, O'Morder in 7th, Peter in 8th. Who's gone off there? It looks like Capel went off. He was in 9th. He's lost 2 positions there. We've got Stratton in the top 10 now. I'm pretty sure that might be his first top 10 result if he manages to hold on for another 7 minutes. It's starting to get chaotic. Stratton just ahead of Spectre, really close together on track here. We might see a move into Ascari. Moves are starting to get made. Mistakes are starting to be made as well. It's looking really dicey in some of these battles. Oh, and he's gone off, and he's completely missed. Oh, gone over a sausage curb. He's lost 2 positions there. Capel's got back into the top 10, as has Grelak, I think. So that would be Stratton losing the lead of Silver at the moment, if that's true. It's all kicking off. I wonder what the explanation for it is. Is it just racing in the dark and trying to brake when you're battling? It's just not working. Yep, he is now 2nd in class behind Grelak. He's definitely got a little bit of damage on his car as well, has Stratton. What's going on a bit further forward? Oh, Morda at the head of a bit of a snake. Well, just ahead of Peter, actually. Peter trying to get back up into the top 7. Everyone in the top 6 seem to be a little bit gapped at the moment. Spectre is at the head of a bit of a train with Capel, Grelak, Stratton, Tidswell. So Tidwell down in 13th now. Where's the Roticos? Roticos 2 laps down after having to reset to pits. Dan 4 laps down. Some disastrous races, but they do have a second one coming up, so it's not the end of the world. You can rescue some good points with this kind of format. It's not just one big depressing run at the back if you've been involved in an incident in the opening lap. Capel closing up to Spectre now as well. So it's all... You know what? The gaps are shortening and lengthening so quickly. There must be a lot of mistakes going on around these corners. This is the closest battle we've got at the moment. Capel definitely has a run. Spectre feels like he has to go defensive very early down the straight. Into Parabolica. Capel trying to go around the outside, or he's going to try and go for the switchback. He is going to try a cutback of sorts. Don't think it was very effective, but he does get a better exit out of the corner than Spectre. Spectre again going defensive immediately, not in a position to want to give up this P9. And Capel's going to have to try and go around the outside again into turn 1. It looks like he's got his nose ahead already. There's looked like a little bit of contact just before the braking zone. Are they actually going to make the corner? Spectre goes wide. He cuts the corner massively there. And Capel gets the position. And Grelak might actually follow through now. So once again, we can't have both drivers make the corner into turn 1 when they're side by side. Or even just having a little sniff, to be honest. So is Grelak going to try a move here? He's definitely got the overspeed. He's going for it. Oh, and Peter just absolutely cutting that chicane as well. They're still side by side. Into the first Lesmo. Grelak has it. Is he got in too hot? He goes... Actually, no, that was a pretty good corner there from Grelak. He gets that position from Spectre. Spectre down into 11th now. But he's going to probably try and get the move back on the exit, but Grelak looks like he got a pretty good exit from the second Lesmo as well. A little bit further down, Stratton under a bit of pressure from Tidswell. And something's happening a bit further forward as well. Grelak ahead of... Yeah, we saw that one. I don't know. I've lost it. Grelak starting to gap Spectre. Looks like... Was it Spectre off? Someone was off track very temporarily there. Stratton all over the back of Spectre, it looks like, so he might be trying to get this position as well. Or is it Tidswell? Tidswell trying to get Stratton in Parabolic. A little bit of contact. And it looks like a better exit as well from Tidswell, so he gets the position for now. And Stratton's going to try in the slipstream to get it back. Two minutes to go. I think we might have 2 more laps in us, potentially 3. Oh, someone's cut the corner there massively. It was Grelak again. I don't know how we've managed not to get any penalties so far for these corner cuttings. At the front, the battle for P3. It is still looking pretty comfortable for Freddie. He's a second ahead of Davey, and yeah, Davey might be running out of time to close the gap and have a go. So some really consistent driving at the front here. Morrow is almost 4 seconds ahead of Scanlon, so he's been on a Sunday drive. I think I've said that before about him as well. Capel just ahead of Grelak. Grelak looks like he's closing in slightly on Capel. Tidswell has won the battle with Stratton. And then we got Holly, and Steenstra has just managed to get past Holly by the looks of it. And Sanchez just behind having a look as well.
Okay, the leader is on the final lap now. Give it all you can.
Omoda fending off Peter in the battle for P7. So the leader's on the final lap, so we're just rounding Parabolica to start the final lap for these guys as well. It's not looking too close between any of these guys. Davies dropped half a second on Cabras. Made a little mistake there somewhere along the lines. Omoda's getting hunted down by Peter. Might have a chance into the second chicane if Peter can have a good... Oh, he's absolutely gone for it and gone wide again. Another one. That was a missile. That was an absolute missile. He's gone through a few of the barriers and he has rejoined. Well, it was good. It was good avoidance. He did well to avoid that. Oh God. So he's let this guy through. Yeah, Omoda's back through again. He's back to where he was. Capel is now going to try and capitalize on this because yeah, Peter's just a little bit out of sorts. Actually, oh, that's Omoda falling back. Peter's lost positions to Omoda, so I'm not sure what's happening to him, but he's falling back pretty quickly now. He's lost out to Peter, who cut the first corner, and now he's struggling massively. Is he out of fuel? Is this a fuel issue? I think it is. He's going to continue to lose places. He's going incredibly slowly down this straight. Maybe he's miscalculated his fuel. I'm not too sure. That's not what we want. But at the front, taking victory once again this season is Morrow with a great victory, a huge victory over Scanlon, 3.9 seconds behind. Another podium for him. Freddie Cabras making a trip to the podium today as well. Really good result, P3 for him. Fended off Davey pretty well. Davey falling back towards the end, must have run out of fuel as well. Andy just a 10th behind at the end. Weston's going to take P6. Peter is just behind Capel. He's going to take P8 behind Capel. Then we have Grelak in P9, top of Silver Class ahead of Spectre. Then we've got Tidswell, Stratton. Omoda's still struggling, getting overtaken by cars left, right and centre. Let's see where he ends up finishing. He's completely out of fuel now. Look how slow that car is going. I don't know if he's even going to make the end. We've got Freivogel in 13th, Stratton in 12th. We've got Steenstra 14th. Oh, this is sad. This should have been an easy top 10. Easy top 10. Holly in 16th wins for bronze. Then we've got Tierney coming past and O'Leary. We're taking 17th and 18th place. Fracas in the top 20. Is he going to beat Omoda? Omoda's getting close to the finish line. He still hasn't hit it yet, though. Where is he? There's Omoda. Oh no, he's had to go back into the pits. Oh, he's going to drop even further back. Then we've just got Kane and Sanchez, the last two drivers on the lead lap in 20. Well, they'll be 22nd and 23rd, just outside the top 20 there. Burkhardt in 21st, just outside the top 20 as well. So some interesting, interesting driving today, guys. I think the stewards room is going to be the busiest it's ever been because we've got another one of these to do. Whose idea was it to have Monza in nighttime and then have two races of it? Someone who is a lot more sadistic than me. I'd have the idea, but I wouldn't have the balls to actually go through with it. Right, I think we're about to all get kicked out of the lobby again so that it can reset. So we'll just wait for that. But let's have a quick look at the timetables. Morrow, Scanlon, Cabras, Weatherston, Winters, Weston, Capel, Peter, Grelak, and Spectre, the overall winners. In the bronze, it was Holly, Fracas, and Blocker, the top three. In silver, Grelak, Stratton, and Danders. Andy Cabras 6th and Popov 7th in class. So it's probably going to blow the silver championship wide open, I think. I don't think the lobby will reset. Oh, okay, sweet. That's easy then. So we just have to wait for the timer to start. But yeah, let's have a look at some of these other gaps. I mean, 25 minutes. Only the top 6 were within 25 seconds. So like average a second a lap slower than the leader. We did see a lot of incidents, didn't we? A lot of damage. A lot of drivers on the lead lap though. a few, what, four just one lap down, one 2 laps down. We have three laps down, and then yeah, Brian just noped out of it. Okay. Well, Dan's at least going to be starting near towards the front again in this second race, so he's got some redeeming to do tonight potentially. Tidwell down in 11th in the end. I'm just trying to think who was at the top at the start. We had Freivogel down in 13th at the end. He was on for a podium. Here we go, we got 2 minutes. Can we still see the timetables? We cannot, never mind. Oh, Dan's crash has affected his actual wheel. That would explain the 8 laps. Yeah, someone said good luck, stewards. But sometimes there's so many incidents that everyone just like collectively agrees without even saying it out loud. Yeah, we'll just all leave it. You might have hit me, but I hit someone else, and they hit someone else. If we all don't report each other, it's fine. If we all report each other, we're all fucked. There is a little bit of that at play sometimes, so it'll be interesting to see which route everyone goes down. Route? I'm not American, it's route. So 1 minute to go before all the chaos begins again. The calm before the storm. That was a weird one. It started off very chaotic, then it calmed down, then it got incredibly, incredibly chaotic. Someone needs to make a montage of all those clips of drivers going wide at turn 1. Think different moment.
20 seconds.
I'm sure we'll see a few more. To be fair, going on at turn 1 is not a bad idea on the first lap, as long as you can slot yourself back in to avoid the carnage. What happens if you're in P1 and you go wide at turn 1? You don't have a place to give back. You just have to give the time back, potentially. But that might lose you positions anyway. So yeah, once again, just a reminder of the grid. We've got a few drivers trying to redeem themselves. At Freivogel in P2, who finished outside the top 10. Scanlon starting down in 4th after he made his way up into 2nd. Tidswell was outside the top 10. He's going to try and redeem himself. Freddie from 7th to 3rd in the last race. That's going to be a difficult one to replicate. Popov and Cabras had a nightmare race last time around. They're starting in the top 10. Same for Dan, just outside. And Omoda, who ran out of fuel after being comfortably in the top 10. I'm sure has put in plenty this time around. Andy just stayed out of trouble, worked his way up to a high finish. Stratton we saw finish really strongly. Grelak we saw finish really strongly. Who else finished really strongly from down here? I think we saw Holly pretty high at one point. Or maybe, I think he might have won his class actually. We're starting down in 27th. Burkhardt recovered pretty well in the race. We got 31, I think we lost somebody. Never mind. If you don't slow down when you cut turn 1, you get 2 corner cuts as you're cutting 2 corners. Might be worth it. As long as you're confident in not getting any more. So this is going to be the calmest moment of the next 25 minutes. Everyone, I mean, look, they can even ghost through each other. They don't have to worry. They're not going to get that fairly soon. Maybe if you cut it by too big a margin, it'll just go straight for a penalty. But if you are within a certain time frame, like you don't cut it by more than 3 seconds or something, it might just give you some kind of warning instead. Quick maths, innit? Dan's gone ahead of Cabras. I'm sure that's going to right itself as well. So at the start last time, Davey reacted really well to the lights, and he was kind of in the middle of Morrow and Freivogel, which was incredibly chaotic. Surprisingly, they all survived. But yeah, you don't want to be in the middle going into the corner. That is the worst place to be. You're always going to be at risk of being pinched. And how are you making the corner as well when you got a driver on both sides of you? So usually when you're in the middle, it's kind of on you to be the one that backs out of the move. Let the other two fight for the corner and you try and get them on the exit potentially. That is the etiquette. Here we go. So, rounding Parabolica for the start of the second race. Is Morrow going to be able to lead as comfortably as he did last time? We'll find out now. Like I said, the start line is fairly close, and there's a very, very long run down into turn 1. We'll have to see what happens. Second go of it. Right, here we go. It has started, and it looks like another good start for Davey, and it looks like he's trying to go through the middle again. Are they going to allow him to do it? Morrow with the inside line into turn 1. He doesn't have his car ahead of Freivogel though. Freivogel, well, it looks like Davey backs out of it actually. Oh, there's contact between the top two. One of them's had to cut the corner. It looks like that was Freivogel has had to cut the corner massively there. Let's go a little bit further back and see how everyone else. Looks like everyone's taken the corner. Someone cutting the first corner, but looks like everyone survived that time. Let's see what happens in the run to turn 2. Freivogel's it still has P1. He's going to have to give that up at some point, I think, because that was an overtake, although he was slightly ahead. He's still ahead of Morrow. Morrow clatters the sausage curb there. Looks like someone has completely cut that corner. It might have been... Well, actually, there's even more people cutting the chicane as well on the exit there. So, it's all shuffled out a little bit more consistently here. Looks like Weatherston's had a go at Morrow into the second Lesbo, but we can't see what's happening. Yeah, Weatherston up into P2 ahead of... Hold on, what is going on? I hate these camera angles, you can't even see. Yeah, Davey's definitely second. He is ahead, and Morrow is battling at the moment with Scanlon. These were the top two, battling for P3 at the moment through Ascari. Scanlon nearly losing it through the exit, loses a tiny bit of time to Morrow, but yeah, gets back on the grip. Tiswell very close behind as well. So it's, yeah, looking pretty good for Freivogel, but he did cut the first corner to get the lead of the race. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. He got away with it in the penalties, but is there a rule? Well, leaving the track and gaining an advantage, I think, is a pretty standard rule in the rule books. Davey is dropping down by the looks of things. Where is he? Why is... Oh, come on. He's dropped way down. He's been in an incident. He's all the way at the back. So he missed a big incident with Davey. Fracas all the way at the back as well. So it's all kicking off here now. So we got Freivogel in P1. Morrow in P2. Davey definitely having an incident at Ascari. Potentially spinning the car at Ascari. That would explain what happened there. So we have a very different looking top at the moment. Because Freivogel is still in the lead. He's got a 2-second lead. Yeah, I don't know. Stewards, what do you make of what just happened at turn 1 in the opening lap? going wide, keeping the position, cutting a huge chunk off the corner. Tidswell looks like he's got a little bit of damage. Maybe he had some contact with Davey. He's falling backwards a little bit into the clutch of Weston, a little bit further back as well. I think we've got Peter and Cabras having a look at each other. Who else is in the top 10? Stratton in 10th, Andy Cabras in 8th. Popov has dropped down to 12th, but he's still in the hunt at the very least. And then Holly's back in front for bronze as well, so he's good at picking his way through the chaos. Morrow struggling against Scanlon, going down into Parabolica. He's already going defensive into Parabolica, and Scanlon's going to have to try and go around the outside, which he's actually decided not to defend. But he keeps the position. Scanlon's all out of shape into Parabolica as a result of Morrow's crafty little driving there. And he keeps the lead. Well, not the lead, P2, but I think it might end up being the lead. I'm not yeah. A bit questionable. A bit questionable. But yeah, Scanlon is looking a lot more racy this time round compared to Morrow. Morrow's struggling a little bit. Someone goes wide. Who was that? I can't tell. It is Andy Winters. He goes on at turn 1, loses a huge chunk of positions as a result of that. Freivogel with a 2.5 second lead at the moment. So I wonder, I don't know, does Morrow have damage, or is he going slow on purpose to try and let Freivogel build a lead? Freivogel with the fastest lap as well. We're used to just seeing that always go to Morrow. Tidswell has kept Weston behind pretty comfortably now, but we've got a big stream of cars here. Peter, then we got Freddie Cabras, Andy Cabras, Winters, who went on, he's still in 9th. Stratton, Grelak, oh! Andy looked like he was about to go for it on Andy Cabras, the two Andys. That's a bit confusing. And some nice little battles going on here. I think it's all going to start heating up again soon, because we're starting to get into the good slipstream range for some of these cars to try some overtakes. Scanlon only half a second back on Morrow, with a few straights here to take advantage of the slipstream and get closer. He's not going to be compromised into Parabolica this time as well. Morrow's picked up to the pace as well. He's gained half a second on Freivogel, so potentially going to be a fastest lap beaten on this one. Yeah, Morrow takes the fastest lap there. He's 6/10 ahead of Scanlon now as well. Dragging Scanlon along with him for the ride. They've completely dropped Tidswell. And then Weston's under a lot of pressure here from Peter. Peter did go, what was one of the cars that went wide in turn 1 in the previous race. Looks like he's got the braking pretty spot on there. Weston going round, wide round the outside and gets the position. And Peter might lose to Freddie Cabras now, who got a great exit out of turns 1 and 2. And is now potentially putting Weston under a bit of pressure as well. Not quite yet. What about Scanlon? Dropped a little bit on Morrow now. Everyone clattering that chicane. Peter having to defend from Freddie Cabras, Andy Cabras, sorry. And Andy having to defend himself from Andy Winters, who looks like he gets past. So yeah, Andy Cabras shuffled back a couple of places, only a little bit ahead of the next driver in silver, which is Grelak. They are starting to eke into Freivogel's lead. The gap's under 2 seconds now for the first time in a little bit. Scanlon's still only half a second behind Morrow as well. Now, he got a slightly worse Parabolica than Morrow on the previous lap. If he could get a better exit and stick in the slip within half a second, he might have a chance into turn 1 here. I have a keyboard and it doesn't work for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why. And yeah, he doesn't go for it just there. Weston and Cabras very close together as well. Freddie, that is, trying to get a move done. Weston looking a little bit more comfortable on the straights. Potentially has a lower downforce setup than some of the other guys. Scanlon now only a 10th behind Morrow. Morrow's dropped to 2.4 behind Freivogel as well, so potentially Morrow having a bit of a mistake at some point. Scanlon has the fastest lap of the race now as well. So yeah, the pace is very different now. Morrow's struggling a bit more than Scanlon. Freivogel seems to be fairly similarly paced to Morrow as well. But he's defending well, which is the crucial bit. So we've got 15 minutes left, so we're 10 minutes in, and similar to the previous race, there is a little bit of a lull. Looks like Weston has lost out in that battle to Freddie Cabras. Looks like Cabras might have got it going the long way around Parabolica. Weston might be able to go for it in the braking zone though. Let's see. Ooh, everyone's getting very close together, but they're all making the corner. What about Popov? He's down in 15th. And he's not going for a move just yet. Oh, he goes a little bit deep. Now he makes contact with Capel. Oh dear. And Spectre gets through as well. Oh, that's unfortunate. Our first victim of turn 1. Well, Morrow, meanwhile, is not putting a foot wrong. Really, oh, he's got a bit wide there. That was on the exit of the first Lesmo. You can get away with it doing that, though. You don't want to go wide on the exit of the second, though, because the gravel is right there. Scanlon's looking a little bit closer than he was on the previous lap. 0.3 of a second. If you can keep that through Ascari... Oh, he's closed it to just 1/4 of a second now. He could bide his time, but I don't know. I just feel like Morrow's going to unlock some pace at some point in this race and start pulling. So I think Scanlon's opportunity and window of getting this position might be quite short. He is a lot closer now than he has been before, though. This is a Ferrari versus Aston Martin. It looks like he's struggling to reel him in. He's having a look, and no, he's just too far back. Gap's starting to form now as well. Tell you where there isn't a gap. Peter is at the head of... Oh! What has happened there? That looks like Weston potentially. I think it might be one of the ART boys. Yeah, Andy Cabras. O'Morda. It looks like he kind of cut turn 1 and 2. So where's that shuffled everyone down to? Peter's up in 6th at the moment, just ahead of Andy Winters. Oh, who's gone wide there? I think it was O'Morda again. And another driver there cutting the corner completely. It's all a bit messy back here. Stratton going really wide. Capel going really wide on the exit as well. Yeah, it's kicking off now. Where's Popov? Down in 16th. Spectre really slow out of the first Lesmo. So everyone's struggling a little bit, potentially with grip, potentially with sight, I don't know. Scanlon's dropped to about 9/10 back off of Morrow, so Morrow has started kicking it up a gear. 2.7 he is off of Freivogel. Halfway through the race now. Andy has dropped off a little bit off the back of Peter. but he's starting to gap Western. And then Cabras and Omod are really close together now. So Ferrari versus Mercedes here. Ferrari's 4 of the top 5 this time round. That's crazy. And the Mustangs are in the top 7 again at this stage of the race. So everyone taking turn 1 and 2 fairly decently there. Scanlon's had a mistake somewhere. He's dropped to 3 seconds off the back of Morrow. He's fortunate that he had quite a big cushion to Tidswell, but Tidswell might be encouraged that he might actually be able to get a podium out of this. Now he's only 2.2 seconds away from it. He's still comfortably ahead of Freddie Cabras, 1.4. Then there's Peter, who's gapping Andy. Andy just ahead of this quite long train of cars, all the way down to P11. Yeah, Tidswell doesn't look like he's got the pace of Scanlon. He's already dropped 3/10. So maybe Scanlon is just something could happen, but at the moment it looks like a solid P3 after whatever happened to him on that previous lap. Morrow could get the double win here, but I did predict 2 different winners. I thought Morrow and Davey. Where is Davey? Davey down in 25th at the moment. Not sure if he's on the lead lap or not. Someone is completely parked on in between 1 and 2, and he's reset to pits. Who was that? I'm not sure. It doesn't show anyone in the pits. Whatever. Let's find some battles. Oh, someone's span it. I think it was Peter struggling through turn 1 and 2 again. Lost a huge chunk of time. Andy's going to be closing the gap on him now. Weston just ahead of Andy Cabras as well. No one close enough for a move. There's been a lot of cutting of this chicane. Peter just cut that chicane as well. Did you see that? He's done it maybe 5 or 6 times that I've seen. So how many times that I haven't seen as well? Optimal racing line, potentially. Andy Cabras having a very good race this time round, up in P9. We used to see him in the top 10 actually, which is a rare feat for a silver driver, but usually indicates that they're on a one-way ticket to the silver title and gold tier next season. Tidswell's car's pretty knocked up at the moment. It's not looking at its healthiest. Cabras is another one who's taken a very wide line through Parabolica compared to Tidswell taking a tighter line. The wide line does give you a good slingshot down the pit straight. So this is quite a significant race in terms of the Drivers' Championship. So you have Morrow up in second. You've got Davey all the way outside the top 20. He's not going to be scoring many points at all today. And yeah, Scanlon, could Scanlon overtake him? I think that would be enough for Scanlon to overtake him in the standings. We'll have to wait and see. What's happening between Cabras and Grelak? Well, they were side by side, and now Grelak is ahead of Cabras, so he's now... Cabras has dropped 2 positions behind Omorder as well, so he's had some sort of issue that we've just missed as well. But let's stick with Tidswell and Freddie Cabras. Freddie is looking very racy now. Remember, Freddie was on the podium. He's trying to get back into the top 4 at least this time around, and a P3 and a P4, starting both races in P7 would be quite a decent result. He's defending pretty solidly. But here he comes. Here comes Cabras. He's very close behind. He might actually have a go into Parabolica here. This might be his better opportunity. Tidswell defending the inside. Remember, Tidswell was performing well in race 1. Finished down in 11th. He's still in 4th with 6 minutes and 49 seconds to go. But he's got to defend well here. And he had a pretty solid exit from Parabolica. He's got a cushion of 0.4 of a second. It might just be enough to keep ahead into the braking zone, but we'll have to see how much that little bit of damage that he's got is affecting him on the top speed. Seems not a lot. Seems not a lot. Excuse me. Morrow is closing the gap now to Freivogel as well. The gap's only 1.8 seconds, so we might see some action for the lead as well. Freivogel having a much stronger race here, just controlling the pace at the front, but he might have to kick it up a little bit to make sure that he takes the win from Morrow. Yeah, Tidswell driving, just not putting a foot wrong here. And Cabras just not getting a sniff, to be honest. A little bit further back, Omorda's pretty close to Weston. Then we've got Grelak heading this group of 4 that has Weatherston in it, but he's a lap down. I nearly got excited then that he somehow made it into the top 12 in the space of 2 laps, but no, he's quite far back. And that's the thing when you're one of the top guys and you're struggling far back and you're a lap down, you want to unlap yourself, but you can't really risk it. Freddie getting really close into Parabolica. This is the best chance that we've seen so far. He just needs to stick close behind. It looks like he hasn't been affected too much by the dirty air at all, and he's really, really close behind Tidswell now. The gap must be just, yeah, 1/10 of a second. This is going to be his best opportunity. Are they going to both make it into turn 1? He's gone for it. Tidswell isn't defending the inside. It looks like they're both going to make it. One of the first times we see that, and a great overtake there for Freddie Cabras to get up into 4th place. Tidswell might try the move back again. He might not have enough beans to do it though. And yeah, this is probably going to be Freddie's opportunity to start gapping him now in through the Lesmos. Meanwhile, Morrow's dropped back to 2 seconds behind Freivogel, actually losing a bit of time to Scanlon now as well. Scanlon lapping pretty quickly at the moment. Might have to settle for a P3. Let's see, any action going further down. Steenstra is just ahead of Capale. They're both trying to chase down the silver drivers. Then there's a huge gap down to Dandes, who's pretty much on his own. Sally's about 4 seconds further back. O'Leary in the top 20, looks like he's just lost position to Sanchez. Popov down in 20th now, he's had another mistake somewhere. So he's just inside the top 20, he's 6th in class. Oh, Tidswell's off. Tidswell's had an incident. He's completely off track right now. And that was at Ascari. He's lost a huge number of positions there. He's down behind Capale. That's completely outside the top 10. That's in 13th position. He's gone down from well, he was P4, just lost that position to Freddie Cabras. Now he's down in 13th. In that gap between Capale and Dandes, which is quite a significant gap. That's so unfortunate. He was on for a very good result there, but that is ACC. It's very, very unforgiving. Steenstra, meanwhile, is at the head of quite a snake of cars. That now does include Tidswell. They've got a huge gap ahead of them. Got a couple of cars to lap as well. Yeah, apart from that, there's not much going on in terms of action on track. Oh, someone's completely gone off. I think it's Tidswell again. Another mistake, but he does have a huge gap behind him, so he's going to get away with that one. Steenstra looks like he's a little bit stuck in traffic right now. Leader's started his final lap. That's gone down very quickly. Meanwhile, talk about gaps that have gone down quickly. Morrow is now 1.2 seconds behind Freivogel. So is he going to be able to cope with the pressure of the champ closing in on him? He's gained about 0.8 of a second there. Freivogel's time was pretty decent compared to Scanlon's as well. So it's just Morrow having a bit of a worldie. Scanlon still has the fastest lap though. Morrow hasn't been able to take that one this time around. Freivogel looking to take what would I think be his first victory in ALR. He's always shown the pace we've been waiting for, the consistency, hasn't put a foot wrong since that opening corner. Went a little bit wide, got the lead of the race, never looked back, built a comfortable gap, has gapped Morrow by 0.2 on this lap as well. So he's looking comfortable again on this final lap. And the top three just miles ahead of everyone else. Freddie having to make his way through the pack, wasn't able to join the fun at the front this time around. Right, we've been through Ascari for the final time. It all looks pretty neat and tidy for Freivogel. He's had a really solid one, shown amazing pace tonight, and he's been rewarded with the victory of race 2 at Monza. So congrats to him and his teammate Morrow, who takes P2, beats his championship rival Scadlin in 3rd. Another podium for him he'll be pleased with. Cabras a P3 and a P4 tonight. Peter, a much improved second race, gets a top 5. Andy Winters comes through again into the top 6. Weston P7. O'Morda doesn't run out of fuel this time, gets 8th. Grelak is going to take class victory in 9th place. And then it looks like Cabras has lost a few positions, potentially. Yeah, Steenstra is going to take 10th ahead of Capel. Cabras has fallen way down. Tidswell's in the pits for some reason, so potentially Cabras and Tidswell having an instant. Cabras 12th. And then, like we said, there was a big gap, and Dandes is going to be taking 13th place. Salis 14th. Spectre in the end got 15th. Then we got Nick Sanchez in 16th. Holly 17th. P1 and P2 in bronze. O'Leary 18th, Van Hall 19th. So that's P3 for bronze in for Van Hall. And then Blocker is going to get a top 20 this time around. I think he'll be pretty pleased with that. And yeah, Ben resetting to the pits there really, well, maybe his car was completely messed up, but has dropped him completely out of the points. So a bit of a tidier second race. Fewer mistakes, that's for sure, but there were some incidents and some, yeah. Well, we'll have to see what happens in the steward's room. I think the results that get posted tonight and the amended steward's results will show potentially different standings in the championship. But yeah, that's it. We're halfway through the season now. So we got a 2-week break for ACC. No race next week. That'll be part of the championship anyway. I'm sure they'll be doing some sort of mid-season event that I think is a tradition now. So yeah, keep an eye out for that on Discord, and apart from that, we'll see you in 2 weeks.